can't remember last time if we talked about this a little bit, and if not, could you comment this evening on the possibility or the likelihood of additional tenants in the building coming forward with a similar request for exterior signage when they may not meet the two conditions of, I don't have it in front of me, where they have a street entrance, or what was the second condition? Somebody help me. You don't have a committed memory either, huh?
No. I just don't trust my memory.
Oh, okay. I never trust mine.
Okay, signs identifying individual uses
That
shall not
was
be
it.
located above the first floor, and signs identifying uses which do not
Do not
have
have
street
a-
frontage may
Yeah.
not be situated on the exterior of the building.
Yeah, so thinking about those two scenarios, what's the likelihood of there being additional requests coming forward that meet one of those two cases where we'll have to think again or deliberate again on another waiver request for additional tenants in the building?
And we've had this conversation with some of the tenants in the building that don't have signs on the property. Looking to the future, I don't foresee another tenant in the building looking to put a sign up that would violate some of those rules and regulations. There has recently been a tenant in the building that has approached us about signage on the property, but they have a retail storefront entrance on the first floor. It's an energy company that moved to the area from the UK, Smartest Energy. They're planning to grow rapidly and, again, probably have 100 employees in the building over the next 10 years of their lease. So they potentially would like signage, but outside of that, we've had this conversation.
But they don't fall into one of those two problem areas that
Correct.
we just cited. And just for context, what's the current occupancy rate of the building, roughly?
100%.
Oh, okay, you won't be expecting too many new tenants then.
Correct. Our one vacancy was just filled by a tenant expanding, and that was only 900 square feet. So, all these tenants are on long-term leases, 10 to 15 years. So I don't expect to see any new signage applications or changes.
You for having a full building. That's a nice position to be in.
Yes, definitely.
Well, the applicants here, any questions?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
I would just offer to the Planning Commission, with deferment to Corporate Counsel, that you may wish to consider including a condition or other such verbiage in any motion that any future sign proposals that require special permit review include a comprehensive sign plan for the building that would include sign dimensions, sign locations, sign illumination, essentially everything but sign copy. But again, I'll defer to Corporate Counsel.
That would be a fair condition, and it would certainly help you to deliberate if another application comes in.
Absolutely. It's not only fair, I think it's very intelligent, and it's probably serves the applicant well, too, in the long run.
I would make a comment on that.
Please.
When this whole issue came up, we are working to try to standardize the signage with having the same backgrounds behind each lettering that match the building facade. There is one tenant that kind of deviates from that right now, and we're working with that tenant to attempt to get that sign changed. And that's Blue Ocean Strategic Capital. Their sign is the only one that is illuminated on the building. They have a sign facing Franklin Street. As building owners, we're trying to make everything standard and get rid of that illumination. It's in the works, but to their point, a sign plan has already been started. So I agree with you, it would be beneficial to all parties.
Thank you for the suggestion. It's a good one. So meanwhile, we're back to SP 0813M9. Ooh, 9 modifications. Is there a motion on this?
All right, always subject to friendly amendment then. Move approval of the negative declaration. Based on the conversation we've had tonight, representation from the applicant, based on guidance from staff and council, the motion includes requests that any future modifications, since we're proceeding under special permit, include a comprehensive sign plan for the building. And again, it's a condition here that since we now have assurances that the building is at 100% capacity, there will only be changes to content rather than changes to tenants, is what we believe as we go forward, but that's my motion.
Although, if, by content, I do just mean the copy.
Yes.
So if there was changes in dimensions and things, that would,
Right,
Okay.
copy.
I would just ask for clarification, when you say future modifications, that you clarify whether that's just for modifications with respect to signage or any modifications to the special permit for the parking lot that may have to come back to the planning commission.
Well, we're addressing signage tonight, but again, since we're proceeding under a special permit that has a history of modifications, again, we'd ask for a plan, including, parking alterations to the sign, again, signage, when we're talking about what's being requested here tonight, and when we're talking about the history of the special permit. It seems there have been a number of modifications for different parts of the property, so I'll include parking, signage, and exterior in my motion.
Second.
And any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The special permit modification is approved, and thank you for your patience.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Same to you. Next, we have another special permit modification on East Genesee Street, SP-84-24M2. Jeff, can you highlight what this
Yes,
permit
this
modification
is a
involves?
modification consideration as well for a special permit for medical office building to modify the floor plan and signage on property situated at 3107 East Genesee Street. The applicant is requesting to modify the floor plan and signage in order to renovate the lower level of the existing building, enlarge an existing ground sign by 10 square feet, and install 2 new wall signs, one facing East Genesee Street and the other facing the parking lot at the rear of the property. The Planning Commission approved the special permit in June of 1984 with subsequent modifications to the floor plan and parking plan in October of 84 and May of 1985, modifications to the sign plan in April of 1986, and the site plan in July of 2019. I'll have to verify that year. That seems awfully recent. This last modification increased the off-street parking to 77 spaces. The application states there are 79 off-street parking spaces, while the survey submitted with the application and dated June of 2019 illustrates 54 spaces. The applicant did submit Google Earth photography that shows 75 off-street parking spaces. Per the applicant, there are another 4 spaces available in a garage. Staff did request the applicant provide an as-built survey or a site plan illustrating the 75 off-street parking spaces, to which the applicant indicated they would provide. The proposal does necessitate a waiver from the sign regulations to to allow the 2 wall signs. I believe the applicant is here if the commission has any questions.
A process of elimination, that would be you two. Since you have been with us all evening, or most of the evening, why don't you come forward and provide your name and address, and then a summary of what's involved here.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Dean DeRoberts. I'm a plastic surgeon. I've been at Community. I bought the retina vitreous surgeons of Central New York building at 3107 East Genesee Street this past fall. They had been there since they originally built it back in '86. And I believe your date should have been July of 2014.
I believe you're correct.
They expanded the parking lot. He says 77. Technically, I think it's 75 plus the 4 indoor parking spaces. We're not changing our parking at all. So from a parking modification, it's just the building survey. When they did the survey, when we bought it, the bank, they surveyed the land and arbitrarily sort of drew in parking spaces. They're fixing that, so we'll resubmit that to represent what the commission already previously passed. We're not changing our parking structure at all. The only thing I am doing is the indoor 4 parking spaces that used to be for the 4 surgeons. Since I am only 1, I'm closing off 3 of them and using it for storage, and just keeping 1 parking space that's indoor. So technically, if you consider the 4 indoor and the 75 outdoor, I'm reducing it from 79 to 76, but 3 of them were indoor, which was not for patients anyways. As for signage, actually they used to have in lettering across the front of their building, retina vitreous surgeons of Central New York. I'm simply putting a sign, which I believe is not bigger than the linear square footage. So I'm just changing their lettering to a standard circular backlit sign that's less than the modification, I guess.
Do you have a copy of what the signage would look like?
Yes, it should be in your report following the floor plans.
And the floor, oh, sorry.
So the wall sign that's in the back that is not.
I'll explain that, yes. So there's the one sign on front, which is facing East Genesee Street, which I believe is, I don't know if you have that picture. The signage in the back does not face the street. It actually faces the back of the hill that goes up the hill there. It's so that people that are parking in the parking lot know which door to enter. It's a small above door sign that they actually had lettering that used to say retina vitreous surgeons. So again, we're just replacing their lettering with a signage.
Question for staff. Does that require a waiver?
Yes, it does.
Okay. But
Special permit uses are allowed 1 wall sign and 1 ground sign, neither to exceed 40 square feet. So they're requesting 2 wall signs in addition to the 1 ground sign.
and there previously was a sign in the same place? Maybe not with a permit, but.
Existing condition.
If nobody can see it except the parkers.
Yes, there was approval of signage in April of 1986.
Well, essentially, I just bought a surgeon's office that started off with 2 surgeons and outgrew the building at 7, and now I'm 1 surgeon, and maybe in 30 years I'll outgrow it, but.
Are you functioning in there now, or?
I'm using the upstairs. Their downstairs was
Back, the one
Right,
in the
off the
back.
parking lot.
it just faces the parking lot, is not visible from the street at all. It would be the same thing actually as 2 doors down at the Jocelyn Center. They have a sign facing the street, and then They have parking lots in back. It's the exact same sort of setup, I think, as theirs.
In April of 1986, there was a special permit modification approved by the Planning Commission for the ground sign that had an overall height of 5.5 feet and a width of 5 feet, not including the support columns. And then there was a wall sign on the front of the building facing East Genesee Street. And I do not see any indication of a second wall sign. That was approved in 1986.
So we're
So
probably
in-
looking at less signage, even though we need to have a waiver to put the one in the back.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I think we need, if we need a waiver, it's for the one in the back. And
Special
There is-
permits don't have location restrictions for the signs.
no, right, but it's a wall sign,
Correct.
yeah,
So the waiver would be for the number of wall signs.
yes, correct. And the monument sign is not,
I'm sorry, can you speak? I didn't hear that. I'm sorry. I know, I got a cough too.
the monument sign is.
Exact same. All we're doing is taking theirs out and putting ours in. So we're using the exact same monument they have.
The
Except-
ground sign does not require a waiver.
Right, right.
Although what I've received with the application indicates it's larger than what was previously approved. It's still at 40 square feet, which would not necessitate a waiver from the sign regulations.
Right.
So what's needed here is waiver for quantity of
Wall signs,
Okay.
which includes area because of the quantity.
That's right. So we know what we're dealing with, I think. Is there a motion on this?
I move approval with a negative declaration. My own beat. And approval of a waiver for the 2 wall signs, number and size.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? So the permit modification is approved.
Thank you very much for your
Patience.
consideration. Not a problem. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we have one item of new business before we move to old business. And can you summarize this project, Jeff?
Z 2766M1 is a project plan review modification to Centennial Hall to modify the floor plan and elevations on property situated at 142 Oakland Street. The applicant's requesting to modify the floor plan and elevation in order to convert 3 dormitory rooms into academic office space. The Planning Commission approved the creation of Subdistrict 9 to the SUPID and its corresponding district plan in February of 2011, which included office uses related to the SU and ESF academic missions. The scope of work includes replacing 3 dorm rooms with that had a total of 7 beds and a multi-purpose study lounge with approximately 1,400 square feet of office space and a conference room, replacing a study lounge with a community kitchen, and maintaining an existing fitness room in lieu of bicycle storage that had been previously approved, and installing a new aluminum storefront entry for the office use on the, yes, it is the west elevation. The proposal reduces the overall parking requirement by 4 spaces. The proposal is in substantial compliance with the Sub-District 9 PID district plan and does not necessitate any new or expanded waivers.
Okay. Consistent with the PID for that area. Any questions of staff?
I just wanted to note that there is a difference in the labeling of the name of the street. Some places it's Oakland and some places it's Oakwood.
To the best of my knowledge, it is Oakland Avenue.
Okay.
The zoning map, typed in up above says Oakwood. What's actually on the map says Oakwood. Anyway, just a
Oh, good. Detective work, yeah, wow.
Where is this?
On the map, it has the big green open space at
Oh,
the very top.
that might be Oakwood Cemetery.
Well, it says Oakwood Street.
right
Oh.
by standard.
It says
Okay.
142 Oakwood Street. The agenda
Oh,
shows.
the header.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's an easy fix.
And it's the same thing on the next, the previous aerial photo of Heather.
Yes,
And
that is a
previous-
typo.
all of them, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
that will be fixed.
I'm not worried.
So with that clarification, is there a motion on this modification to the project plan?
I move approval with a negative declaration.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? That's approved. And now, before we get to authorizations, there's some old business we need to deal with. All of these are time extension requests. Excuse me. And I think we had touched on these at the last meeting, and there was a question, partly because it was the third request in each case. Yes, third request, and an observation that none of the construction work had begun yet, and therefore,
It's dated December 12th. It essentially provides a current status